I was 16 years old when I got high for the first time. And from that moment on, my life changed forever. I am a creature of habit. I like routine. When I find something that I like, I want more of it. So if that thing is healthy for me, that means I really push myself towards a healthy lifestyle. But if that thing is unhealthy for me, things can get out of hand. So let's talk about addiction. I was raised in a fairly sheltered environment. My folks worked for a non-profit organization that took us around the world, and I spent my childhood in Zambia, Sudan, and a small town in Manitoba. I was an energetic kid, curious, ready to make friends. I loved to play pretend and go exploring, and I always stayed close to home, under the care and supervision of my parents. But moving around the world takes its toll on a kid. I don't know if I had trouble processing the various moves, or if I just went through a regular teenage cycle, but in grade 10, when my family moved to a town in southern Ontario, I had a bout of pretty terrible depression. And I tried to escape through movies, music, anything. Because my life had been fairly sheltered up to that point, I really knew nothing about drugs or alcohol. And I was a teenager. I was curious. Curious about this world that had been hidden from me. Curious about what happens to your body or your mind when you get drunk or high. So I started to experiment. Alcohol was easy. I got some older friends to buy me some liquor, and I got drunk a few times. It was fun. It was weird. Kind of cool to be out of control for a little bit. But getting my hands on cannabis, that was a little trickier. Had to ask around. And eventually, one of my friend's older brothers got us a couple joints. And when I smoked pot for the first time, nothing happened. I kept waiting for something to change, something to kick in. Nothing. But I didn't give up. I had to find out what it was like to get high. So a couple nights later, I tried again. And it was amazing. I felt this sense of euphoria. My whole brain was alive. My senses. And talk about an escape. It felt like I was a kid again. The whole world was brand new. It was exciting. It felt wonderful. And I wanted to feel this way again. So for the next year, I smoked pot whenever I could. I went on adventures. I ate candy, watched movies, played video games. I relished in the joy that came by getting high. It became part of my routine. And I started to find that the world of sobriety paled in comparison to the world I experienced when I was high. But I also noticed that it completely depleted my motivation and my ambition. So I found a balance between getting work done during the day and getting high at night. And as the years passed, I decided to pursue a career in the arts. It was difficult, it was stressful, and I started to use pot as a way to escape from my problems. Instead of facing them head on, I started to self-medicate. And everything was kind of working out. I moved to Winnipeg to be closer with my then girlfriend, now wife. It wasn't easy to get my hands on weed in the new city, so I settled for drinking to help me get through the evenings. I smoked pot occasionally. Supporting myself as an artist was difficult, but I always had alcohol and cannabis to help me accept where I was and not stress out too much. And then my wife and I decided to start a family. We had 2 beautiful little girls. And after my wife finished her second maternity leave, I decided to take a step back from working full-time and take care of the kids instead. I became a stay-at-home dad. And I don't know what happened. Maybe it was the insecurity of not being able to earn enough as an artist. Maybe it was the increased stress of taking care of 2 toddlers 24/7. Maybe I just had a crisis of identity. But I started smoking a lot more pot. I started getting high during the day just to keep my spirits up. I got high at night to help get to sleep. Every chance I could, I tried to get high. It was self-medicating on a scale which I'd never experienced before. And I knew I had a problem. So I reached out for help. I got on some medication. I started talking to a counselor, and I started to face my problems and myself instead of trying to escape. Kind of. I was still smoking pot to deal with the stress of the day-to-day. And there was a moment, a couple years ago, when I snuck into the backyard for a morning pick-me-up, where I saw where all this was headed. This narrative, this story. It was so predictable. Dad couldn't hack it. Failed dreams. Takes it out on his wife, his kids, himself. Addiction leads to poor health, broken relationships, early death. It was so boring. And I couldn't believe that I had fallen into this cliche storyline. So I decided to change it. I decided that I didn't want any more substances in my bloodstream to help me deal with reality. So I gave up pot. I gave up alcohol. I stopped taking medication, and I started to face reality. It was scary. It was hard. I didn't deal with physical withdrawal, but I did deal with mental withdrawal. For me, the hardest thing to change was my routine, because I like my routine. My routine helps me feel safe and grounded, so I tried to find other things to help ground me. Morning coffee, healthy breakfast, exercise. I tried to fill my day with life-giving routines. And although it was scary and difficult, it was also liberating. It was empowering to know that I was just being me. Flaws, problems, fears and all. I was being honest. I was being myself. I started talking to people. People I had shut out. People I had hidden myself from. I started to let people know what I was dealing with, what I was struggling with, and the ways that I was learning to accept myself. And step by step, day by day, I started to walk down a new path. A path of sobriety, a path of freedom, a path of being myself. It's been just over 2 years since I started walking down this new path, and I know that I have a long ways to go. But I think the thing that excites me the most about the future is that I don't know where this path is going to lead. Today, I'm a little bit addicted to exercise. It's become a big part of my routine. And the thing that I like about it is it grounds me to reality, to this moment. But I don't have to cling to exercise forever. Things can change. Do I still crave getting drunk and high? Yeah, sometimes, when things are really stressful. But I've closed the door on pot and alcohol. I know where that room leads, and I don't have any interest in going down that path. I don't know where the path of exercise, healthy diet, meditation leads. And I'm curious about that. What other rooms are there that I could explore? You know, I guess I feel like I've finally gotten back in touch with the person I was when I was a kid. Bright-eyed, curious, full of energy. I'm here. I'm alive. Let's do this.